Happy Saturday, everyone. How are you all? Just me by myself, because this is Who Needs a Drink? Your favorite show. Normally on Fridays, but now on a Saturday. There was no Dirk yesterday. He's out in San Diego for a wedding, so we didn't do iBashers. So I said, hey, why don't I go on live on a Saturday night to see who's around, see who's sitting back having a drink. I know it's a little bit early to be drinking on the Eastern Seaboard, and certainly on the Western side, the Pacific coast. But any of you tuning in over here on our side of the pond, if you've had a long week, you're probably kicking back. Who is in the room? All the usual suspects. Ticking Time. Happy Saturday. Thank you, Ticking Time. Mark God. Evening. A lot of people from all over the place. I noticed people coming in from Canada, from Australia. What time is it over there? Down under. Down under. What's everybody drinking? Before we get into any subjects, I actually haven't opened anything yet. I'm trying to take it easy. I think on one of the episodes of iBashers, I was a little too well on, get a little sloppy. You know I'm drunk when ... when I keep cursing. I was at that fucking thing, and that's like a fucking... When I keep cursing, you know I'm drunk. That's how you know. Aperol Spritz for Ticking Time. Beer for Alex. Cardanas. Is that Cardana? Is it a silent S? Woodford Reserve. I hate you. Sydney T. Woodford. Come over here with that. Spanish Red. Oops a daisy. It's all moving too fast right now. Yes, I just said oops a daisy. I know. I'm a man from 1916 in England. Kryptonaut is having a Spanish Red. Andy B is having an 11% Imperial Stout. My God. How do you drink that? How do you drink 11% stout? That must be crazy tasting. Must be like syrup, treacle, molasses. Nobby Sensei. Blair Athol 12. Probably didn't pronounce that right. Sorry about that. Crown Royale for Oak. Nice. I'm going to open a bottle now. Yeah, Chris J. It's only 4 minutes past 5 in Canada. Too early. Far too early. Have a tea or coffee, man. Peter Howard. Tea. Yeah, I've been looking at reds. The summer was a lot of whites, a lot of spritzes and gin and tonics and things. Overdid it, as always, because I don't know how to do anything else. And I steer clear of the reds a lot, because they can be a little thick. Barolo is nice and kind of watery in its consistency. It's like Burgundy. It's not a thick marmalade, as they say here in Italy. Marmellata. Some wines, they're just thick. If you're in California right now, you're going, huh? There's wines that aren't thick? Because all of those wines are just bombs in a bottle. Who's having that? Fake Piss 21. Am I reading that right? 18-year-old Glenmorangie. Lovely. Glenmorangie. Yeah, so J Kid, where's Dirky? He this is not the iBashers. This is just Who Needs a Drink. If you're watching on the iBashers channel, I just put it out there because you didn't get any show this week. Sorry. Dirk's in San Diego at a wedding. And the hotel where you're staying has spotty internet, so we figured we'd spare everybody the pain and just skip it till next week. So that's why I'm here doing Who Needs a Drink, which is just me, unfortunately. So there won't be any kind of musical interludes, singing and stuff you normally get from Dirkus Maximus. Logan Hall's here. Ticking time. Still wearing that Omega. I am. I had the Omega on today. This is the Aquaterra. Watch my camera work. Look at that. I made some adjustments so the camera would be a bit smarter. Finally figured it out. This is the Golf Edition. The previous one, I did a whole episode on comparing this to the latest Aquaterras. So they changed the form of the watch a little bit. Subtle details that you would only notice if you put them side by side. And look, I love Omega. You guys know that. I adore them. When I first got into watches, it was all about Omega. It's like I couldn't see any other brand. I don't know why. I think it started with the James Bond thing, but then moved into the Speedmaster thing. And then sometimes you get so, for want of a better phrase, horny for a brand. You just do, and everything they make, you go, you get so into it. And then you look across the fence at other brands and they don't do it for you. They say we're naturally attracted to people who have similar facial features to our own, which makes sense to me because we've been staring at that one person our whole lives in the mirror, haven't we? So when we see certain facial features like eye shape or something in another person that are similar, it's going to ring certain bells in our heads. And I think it's the familiarity, the Omega thing, just, for a long time. Like I remember seeing GMTs, like vintage GMT Pepsis, and going, why would anyone ever wear that? It's ugly. Oh my God. APs. I didn't like those at all. I thought they looked ridiculous. Then you come around, don't you? Who's having Middleton? Oh, don't get out of here. Get out of here, you. Damien Doyle having a Middleton Rare 2022 and an Opus 10 Robusto. That's one of the greatest cigars ever made. I hate you, Damien. Get over here right now and share. I have a cigar ready, but I don't know. I'm not going to have a cigar with wine. It's not really going to work. I have one of these Gurkha things. You guys know Gurkha? They're from Dominican Republic. This is a beauty. This is the Legend, because of course many Cuban cigars are Legenda, the Legend. This is a big beast. That would be a 2-hour show, 2.5-hour show minimum, I think. But I don't know. I think I'll just do red wine. So I got, I think I showed you guys a wine before on the channel called Donna Fugata. Donna Fugata. It was Deo Vulcano or Deo Vulcano, the volcano goddess. Because of course down in Sicily they have that Etna smoking away there. Sometimes it erupts. It's kind of ominous, crazy looking. Walk out of a bar or restaurant, you look up and you see the smoke coming out from the mountain. You're like, there's a beast that's alive right by us right now, ready to spew its venom on us at any point. But I featured that Deo Vulcano from Donna Fugata a couple of times, I think, on some of my unboxings. Sorry guys, I'll get to the super chats in a minute. just don't want to slow down the pace here quite yet. But it turns out that, and I love Etna Rosso because quite like Barolo, quite like Burgundy, and have watery consistency, not thick. And I quite enjoy those. I think they're easier to eat food with. You know, you get a Côte d'Aron or a California Cab or an Amarone or a Super Tuscan, and it's like you need a chisel to cut your way through the thing. So quite often they say with French wine, you're going to start on Bordeaux and then you're going to move over to Burgundy as you get older and your taste becomes more refined. A good friend of mine years ago described the difference between Bordeaux and Burgundy as the difference between if Bordeaux was the full orchestra, Burgundy was the solo instrument, which I thought was a brilliant way of describing it. Every now and then you come across certain terminology that just makes things nicer. I can zoom out a bit if you want to see the watch more, guys. By the way, I just started wearing this today last night because I saw George Clooney was on Stephen Colbert in a beautiful deep blue suit and wearing an Aquaterra with blue dial. And by God, it was stunning. He first walked out, it was just like bling. The first thing I saw was the watch. I was like, oh my God, that thing is just sparkling in the studio lights. I think he was quite aware of it as well. He kept tapping it and fixing it back into his wrist. It was a tad loose. It was kind of hanging down, which I think is kind of cool sometimes when the watch kind of flops around a bit like a bracelet. So anyway, I was like, I got to bust out my Aquaterra. So I've been just loving it all day today. But anyway, there's certain phrases, certain terminology. So the Bordeaux would be the full orchestra because, of course, it's a blend usually of Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. Cab bringing the earth and the solidity and the foundation of the wine. And Merlot being the feminine. So if Cab is a man, Merlot is a woman. Merlot will bring the feminine qualities, the high points, the bouquet, and all of that. So if Bordeaux is the full orchestra, Burgundy is the solo instrument. Certain other things I've heard along the way. The vigor of the vine. There's one I liked. The vigor of the vine. Because vines have to fight their way. Vines grow best in poor soil, loose soil, where it's hard to grab whatever moisture and enzymes and so on from the ground that they can. So they have to they have to fight. A lazy vine with, dense soil, heavily hydrated soil won't create a nice grape. So you want to play with the vigor of the vine. And who was it? I'm just trying to think of other phrases. There are some interesting ones. His name escapes me right now because that's how my brain works when it's put under pressure. Gene Wilder years ago was asked, he's a big enophile. He was asked, do you prefer red or white? And he said that he loved both for different reasons. He said white is like falling in love when you're 20 and red is like falling in love when you're 40. Which I just thought was fucking great because I love all that shit. So get to the point, Ush, you rambling fool. So it turns out that Donna Fugata also do some thicker stuff. And here's one. I know that looks like Angeli, but if it didn't have the H, it'd be Angeli, which is the angels. in Italian, but it has a H, so I don't know what they mean there. This is nice. By the way, Donna Fugata is woman on the run. The woman on the run, the fugitive, Fugata, the fugitive woman. She's on the run because the queen, of course, had to, when Napoleon took Sicily, she had to disappear. Queen, what's her name? Someone help me in there. So I got that one. And then right next to it, I was in a store earlier where I go in, I piss them off sometimes. I go in and say, did you order that case of wine for me yet? And they're like, oh, God, no. I'm like, I'm trying to give you my money, you idiots. And so I was there looking at that one. And then I saw this. And I thought, hold on. Is that Tancredi? A few years ago, Dolce & Gabbana, the famous, couture clothing line, who we actually played a gig 4 years ago. I just remember that right now. I met the two of them. Little fellas. I think it was in Milan or Como or somewhere. Anyway, I digress. They teamed up with Donna Fugata back in 2018 and made the Tancredi, this wine in 2018. And it goes for like $200 or $300. It's a lot of money. It's much more ornamented, as you can imagine. The Dolce & Gabbana guys probably came in and went, okay, we're going to help you make a better label. And that wine is expensive and very sought after. And I saw this and I thought, that's the same name. So I quickly pulled out my phone. I'm like, hold on. This is the same wine. This is just predates when Dolce & Gabbana got to it in 2018. This is from 2012. 10 years in the bottle, guys. Plus the two when they made the wine, because it would go through about 12 months of aging and then 2 in the bottle before they'd sell it. So it's been in there a while. And the best part, I don't think the store knew what they had, because this was $28. So I was just like, hold on a minute. So I took a bottle and I'm going to open it right now. And if it's as good as it should be, because it's the $250 version or whatever, but older, longer in the bottle, so even better, for $28. So if it's great, I'm going back, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sunday and everything's closed here. Mind you, they might be open on a Sunday. It is Venice after all. Very touristy. I'm going to go back and grab them all. No, I will not tell you where the store is in case you want to come to Venice and buy them all up at 10% of the price. This is my usual thing. This is how I take off a capsule. If you haven't seen this before on the channel, I just draw a line straight down and then rip it, and the whole capsule comes away like that. See? Easy peasy. None of this hacking away around the top. I don't know why people do that. Just take the capsule off. That way, at least you can see if there was any seepage. And it comes straight off. It takes seconds. This is what an alcoholic. These are the habits of an alcoholic. Cork is lovely and soft. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, don't break. Don't break. No, please. Don't break. Oh, she's lovely. Check that out. Lovely deep red up the top. Little bleeding into the cork. So it's been sitting on its side for a long time. But no seepage. You don't see any coming all the way down to the top of the cork. So no seepage, no oxidation, which is good. And let's get a little in the glass. Ooh, look at that big ruby. Oh yeah, I was supposed to mention that the I keep digressing onto new subjects, worse than Dirk sometimes. They have a lot of, they have 5 or 6 different terroirs down there. So they use different grapes. So they don't just have the Etna Rosso. They also have big, fruity, thicker wines. And this apparently is one of them. It's supposed to pair with game and tuna and eel and things like that. So I'm just doing some swishing. This is how you're supposed to hold a glass, guys. You get your piccolo tavolo under there. You can use 1 finger or 2. If you're doing some swishing, use 2. Piccolo tavolo means little table. See? My fingers are acting as the table. And that's why you have a long stem, so you can do small movements down here, which result in large movements up the glass. And give it lots of air. Okay. That's interesting. Give it a second. Well, that's aerating. I will just get to the super chats real quick before I fall too far behind. Thank you for any super chats, guys. It really means a lot. I keep demonetizing myself. Even the Britney Pierce reaction video that I did yesterday, we'll get onto that in a minute. That was demonetized too. It's just, I never make any money off my vids because I always use music or something in there and I'll just kill it. Andrew, swinging right out of the gate. Look at you, Andrew. Thank you so much. 50 Canadian. I need a drink. Have a few yourself. Thank you so much. I certainly will. Thank you. You're the man. I know there's a lot of questions here. Sorry, guys, if I can't get to them all. There's Traveling Watches. That's Anne. How are you, Anne? Great to see you. Des in the house. My day is going well, Des. I hope yours is too. Let me get to the super chats. Nathaniel, super sticker. Thanks so much, man. $5 from Nathaniel. What else? Hope I don't miss any here. If I do, just write it in big caps that I missed your super chat. Ryan, $2. Thanks so much, Ryan. No question. How do I pronounce that? Bojan Stejic. $5. Miss Dirk, but you will do. Kidding. Bash away. No bashing. This is not iBashers. This is Who Needs a Drink. Slightly different. Where I'm going to talk about watches and wine. We're not going to talk about celebrity scandals or politics or anything, like we often do on iBashers. AS, $10. Thank you so much. Brunello di Montalcino tonight. Lovely. Well, that's one of the big Tuscan wines, one of the more expensive sides of Italian wine. 2014, middle of the road plonk, but decent enough for some Saturday night banter. Quite like the Select Spritz from your neck of the woods too. Chinar next. Yeah, Chinar's nice. I feel like Select is the one though. Select. I should push into the first E. Select. Like they say it here. The varietal, Mike Lewis is asking about the varietal of these. I assume it's Aglianico, because that's everything down there. If you want big red down there, it's Aglianico. I'll have to read up on it, man. Again, I'm just trying this wine for the first time. But that is down in Campania and Sicilia. It's one of the popular varietals. Vitigno. Tim Wright. Blondie, come back. Great to see Tim in the house. He has to do a live stream himself pretty soon, I think. There's Leon. Who would think a guy like Oshin would be so refined? Why, about the wine? Dude, I'm so much more into that than even watches. Whoops a daisy. Des Ferris, thank you so much. $20. How did Brit react to your video? Well, we'll get onto that now. It gave us a good laugh. Rocking the Speedy tonight. Cheers to your health. Thanks, Des. I was rocking the Speedy on that Britney video. Racing or $5. Breitling, favorite watch. Did the chronomat turn you down? I love Breitling. I love the chronomat. It was a little heavy on the wrist. Oh, Carolyn, you didn't have to do that. My God, Carolyn Martin. How are you, darling? $50. Buy another bottle on me. I'm going to send you some more cookies. Some more Italian delights, Carolyn. You're the best. Shannon J, 78. $20, my God, the man. There's Dirk Diggler. Ooh, everyone get your helmets on. What's he going to be saying tonight? Did you put ice in your wine? I did that once on the Chloe video, and I've never been able to live it down. It was just so hot that day. I needed some white wine to give me courage to get through the day with that girl. But then I was like, I just need to cool down. It was 35 degrees Celsius out. Bob MIC, $5. Finally getting back to Italy in a couple of weeks. Can't wait. Looking forward to wine, and more wine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I think I got through them all. If I forgot anyone's, just let me know. Okay, guys. So I should talk about the Britney thing. I don't know what her reaction was. I haven't actually spoken to her since I put it out, but I was speaking to her before. We butt heads on this subject, as you can imagine. And I mean, I don't know what she thought of me making a video saying buy Rolex now, which I made nearly 6 weeks ago at this point. But she probably thought that was an appalling message. Given her views, she probably thought, what the hell is he doing telling people to buy Rolex? It's the opposite of what they should do. Here we are 6 weeks later, and at the time, I had left it live for 4, 5, 6 weeks watching the market before I had any opinion to share about it. Everybody was saying, it was news. It was breaking news when the prices started coming off that spike. Somebody today said the Rolex bubble hasn't burst, but there was an extra bubble that grew out of the bigger bubble, and that one burst. And I thought that was a very good way of describing it. So all those weeks had gone by, and then since I made that video, it's not like they're gone back up. Some of them they've come up a tiny bit, but there's a lot of stability now. They've kind of just settled down, rested. And I waited, and then I said, okay, it's time to tell people, listen, we just came off the spike. It makes perfect sense to me. That spike never made sense in the first place. And I can't believe I'm the only person talking about a spike. Because I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the graphs. Painfully obvious, you might say. So it's been now, 11, 12 weeks, But of course, Britney's idea is that, oh no, we're heading into this big recession, so it's just the beginning, And there's a lot of doom and gloomers out there. Some of them seem genuine. And some of them just love it. It's like they love this shit. They just want to see big watch brands fail. They want to see the world go on fire, Remember that scene, Ronald, was it, in Backdraft, that film Backdraft, years ago, about the firefighters, and De Niro plays the investigator looking for arsonists. The best scene in that, it's not a great film at all. It's a bit of a crap film, but De Niro's scenes are great. Surprise, surprise. And he goes along to a psych ward or something, and Donald Sutherland is playing this arsonist who's like, shadow, shadow, hey there, shadow. He calls De Niro Shadow. And he's crazy. He's playing a crazy arsonist who's in love with fire. He calls fire the The Animal. It's a great scene. Go look for it on YouTube. It's so fun. And his acting is amazing. And he's up in front of a committee to try and get parole or something. And they're all convinced that he's, they're like, are you sorry for what you did? And he's like, yeah, I'm reformed and I'll never do anything like that again. De Niro gets up and pulls out some burnt doll out of a bag and goes, do you remember what happened to this little girl? What did you do to her? And he's like, I burned her. And what do you do to old women, Ronald? I burn them. What about the world, Ronald? What would you like to do to the whole world? Burn it. Burn it all. And then De Niro goes, see you next year. Because he just wants to keep him in jail or in the psych ward or whatever. Doesn't want him getting out because he knows he'll fucking burn everything. So there's a lot of people who just want to see everything go down. And they love this whole, it's almost like religious nonsense. Sorry, but it sounds like, superstition, I'm not a particularly religious man. I actually do believe in God. A lot of people are shocked when they hear that. I love God. Religions piss me off because that's man-made. Religion is man-made. The universe ain't. This wine is, yeah, it's got deep, it's got blueberry. That's odd. That's an odd note. You rarely get that. You get that in like Dolcetta d'Alba. That has a lot of blueberry sometimes. So that's pisses me off a bit. Okay, there's a tiny note of blueberry in there behind the other fruits. There's also like tobacco, but it's sweet. It's not dry. Sometimes when you're nosing a wine, it's enough to just put your nose in it like this. Take my glasses off. Stick your nose in it like that. And then just breathe, even through your mouth. And that way you take in the bouquet and the notes in a finer way without overwhelming your senses. Wow, a lot of tannin in there. Whoa. Wow, my whole mouth went dry. That is like chalk. It's very tannic. Wow. That'll make you live longer. Tannins are good for the arteries. They loosen the arteries. That's why people in Corsica and Sardinia and south of France and stuff live longer. They're loosening up. They're making things easy on their heart their whole lives, drinking tannic wines. So yeah, there's a crowd out there who just, they love it. Like their comments are like, this time next year, Rolex won't be able to sell their mom, or, it'd be like that. Like what? Everybody stock up on firewood, and it stinks of superstition and fear. You stink of fear. What's that from? Is that Red Dragon with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter? You stink of fear and that aftershave, blah, blah, blah. No, it kind of annoys me. And I feel like Brittany might be becoming their new pirate queen. They have a new queen. She's out there going, oh, look what happened in 1930. Like she's comparing what's coming to the greatest crash, the biggest crash of all in history. I don't know what the hell she's doing, wasting her time in YouTube. She should just go to the mountains and build a shack. Like you think that is around Sorry, Darren Roberts outlined there. Brit is Watch Gringa. Yeah, she used to be Watch Gringa. She's now Brit Pierce. It's a great channel. She's great. She's a sweetheart. She's a doll. Love her to bits. But yeah, she got behind this. Benzo was just saying, by the way, Manhunter is better than Red Dragon. It's the same story, but an earlier version. You might be right about that. Anyway, so I don't know. I know I went on Tim's thing live last week, kind of disgusted after I saw her video about, with charts and all sorts of stuff and analysis. And then she's like, oh, I'm just a watch channel and I don't know. I'm like, really? You just hit us with a bunch of charts and terminology from the, she seems like an amateur, financier or something, or that seems to be one of her passions. Great. But I'm always dubious about these folks. I've got a lot of friends down on Wall Street. My old office is down there, West Street. And I got some friends who play with hundreds of thousands of dollars every day. And man, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that none of them really know anything. It's like the same as going to the casino. They can make educated guesses, but then they're all Monday morning quarterbacks when things turn the other way or something like that. It's like, I just feel like if anyone actually was able to predict these things, they would own the planet. They'd literally own the planet. They'd be richer than Elon Musk and the whole lot of them all put together, because they would literally just play it. They can't know. They can only make predictions. They can only speculate. And I always find that it's easy to say, oh, everything's going down and we're going to go through a recession. I feel like every bloody year they say we're going to go through a recession. Then do we go through one? Yeah, no. Some people feel it, some people don't. There's a lot of people also, by the way, saying, yes, we're definitely going through a recession. But yes, you should definitely buy art and jewelry and rare items because they'll go up. I've seen a bunch of videos of guys, economists and guys on the market down in Wall Street saying that. There's one going around TikTok right now. A bunch of kids, TikTokers, walk up to a guy and he doesn't want to be bothered. He doesn't want to be stopped, but then he does stop because they insist. And they're like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm in the market, And how many years? He's like, I've been doing this 35 years. They're like, well, can you tell us what's going to happen? He goes, there'll definitely be a recession. That's coming for sure. However, it's a strange equation or algorithm or says something like that, because certain assets are going to go up where the regular guy in his cash, he's going to go down, but people who have parked money into assets and that stuff will go up. Now, he didn't say watches, but I saw that and I was like, well, I assume watches are included, because he said jewelry and he said rare art and so on. I went, okay, well, that's where we are. Doesn't mean he's right either. It just means that there's an opinion out there for everyone. And if you have already made up your mind inside your head, you'll find tons of people out there who are going to corroborate what you believe. If you believe the earth is flat and you type in flat earth in Google or in YouTube, you'll find hundreds of videos all about it. And if you sit there for hours and hours and watch them all, you're going to start believing the earth is flat because you just find the info that makes you feel better about what you feel and what you think. Don't you? So I thought Britney's thing, I also thought that she was being a bit, it's a little careless, because I know she was kind of caring for people, going, maybe you shouldn't spend your money. I feel like that's good advice always, and that was good advice from her. Don't spend your money if you're unsure. However, the flip side of that is it does make people very afraid, doesn't it? So, and fear kills markets. Nobody wants to make a move when they're afraid. So the fear mongering can kind of manifest the problem. Not to say that she's, single-handedly going to send the watch market down. That's already taking care of itself to a certain degree, albeit stabilized now, or for now is what she would say. But she is a voice, Brittany ain't no one. She was a small channel. Well, she ain't a small channel anymore. God bless her. She gets huge views. Her channel's about half the size of mine if you go in subs, but it's not half the size if you go in views. It's actually probably bigger. It's all about who's watching. So it's a voice. She is a voice. And of course, all you need is a little voice then for things to spread. I just don't see anything positive in making people think that we're heading into a 1930s crash. I don't see anything constructive about that. Then, of course, it was mixed in and clustered with another thing. And this is a thing that I've been seeing around the watch world for a while. Recently discovered that Adrian Barker is one of these guys too. People who refuse to pay over retail. I refuse to pay a penny over retail. I would never go to the gray market. This is shit I've been hearing for ages. I always look at these guys and go, have you lost your mind? Like, who do you think you are? You refuse to pay over retail. What? So what does that mean? You're never going to get the watch? Or what do you go in? You walk into an AD and just stand there with your arms folded and go, give me the watch. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you implement that mindset? Just never buy the watch, or sit around and only buy whatever you can get at retail? Like, how does that work? I'm always comparing these things to other things like concert tickets. I've been doing that comparison, that analogy for years now. When there's a popular concert coming up in New York City on Broadway or at Madison Square Garden, tickets sell out very, very quickly. So they become very high demand items very, very quickly. And as the concert date approaches, their value goes up and up, right? So what happens? Guys like StubHub and various other places there in New York buy a lot of the tickets and sell them at a premium. I've often made the comparison to Hamilton as a show on Broadway. I think it stopped during COVID, obviously, for obvious reasons. Everything stopped. Certainly public performances, but Hamilton was a big deal and you couldn't get tickets. I mean, the price for Hamilton tickets were nuts, but people were paying it because it was that or just never see the show. So the retail price became a kind of irrelevant price. It was irrelevant because you weren't going to get a ticket to Hamilton for $29.95. The cheapest available were $299 or something. And anything remotely close to the stage was $2,000. And that just becomes very quickly becomes reality. Oh, wow, that wine is great. Oh my God, so tannic though. That's the most tannic wine I've had in ages. Jesus Christ. Whew. Just dries out. They call it when it's heavy tannins. There's different levels of tannin. There's chewy tannins, and then there's grip. It's called grip because it makes your tongue like a cat's tongue. You ever feel a cat's tongue? It's like a piece of sandpaper. They use it to grip and scoop up water and milk and stuff. You get this grip on your tongue. It's like biting into a seed of in a grape or tea, tea bags, tea leaves, heavy tannins. Wow. The tannin is very important to protect the wine. It helps it age. This wine probably could have sat in the bottle another 30 years. But the tannins do dissipate with time. And then you got to drink it. Otherwise, it's naked. It's going to die. The tannin is the clothing of the wine, the same way as the skin is on the grape. That's tannic. Wines become tannic from their exposure to the skin and the pips, the seeds. That's what communicates the tannin into the wine, into the juice. Anyway, I digress. So these people saying I refuse to pay, it's just odd to me. I mean, I understand that they feel that they're paying over, over the values. I understand where they're coming from, but it just shocks me that they can't see all the other implications of what they're saying, which are many. There's a lot. It's hard to even begin discussing it because I'm like, well, where do I start here? Hold on. Okay. So first of all, you're not getting the fucking watch because you aren't getting it at retail unless you're lucky enough, and that'll bring me onto the Brittany thing again. But, sometimes I don't see the price. If I get a call from someone in my family saying, listen, I want to buy a birthday present or something for someone, want to get a nice watch. How much is a Rolex? How much is a GMT? Let's say they heard that the Batman or the Pepsi. I wouldn't know what the retail price of it is. And I certainly wouldn't tell it to them. I'd be like, oh, you want to get a Pepsi? It's about 20 grand. About 20 grand for it. If they ask me what the retail price at Rolex is, I can't even tell you right now. I'd have to actually go on Rolex.com and actually look. I don't even know the price of it. I don't know the price of a Daytona from Rolex. Because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's just there to torture you. I would tell a relative that the Rolex, a Submariner, is 15 grand, 12 to 15 grand, depending on the condition and which one and how old and blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't bother telling them that it's 8,800 or 9,000 or whatever from Rolex. Why even tell them that? Then I have to sit there for an hour and explain to them how it got to that state of affairs. So also the retail price is also a bloated price. You're aware of that too, right? If you are paying 9 grand for a sub, you're forking out 9 grand. Do you think it's really worth it? I mean, are we talking about worth? Are we really using that word? You can't use that word worth. You walk into an art gallery and you look at Damien Hirst or something, taxidermied shark, and you go, what's that worth? Somebody turns around and goes, it's sold for 25 million. You'd be like, that ain't worth it. It's just a shark. Water lilies, Monet, how much is the painting of the flowers there in the water? Oh, it's priceless. That ain't what? I wouldn't pay that. It sounds ignorant when you start saying worth when it comes to artistic beauty and beautiful items. What's worth anything? Why buy a Bugatti or a Ferrari when you can just buy a Toyota and it'll get you from A to B just a little slower? I don't like that word worth because it's very subjective. So then there are the folks who are lucky enough to be in the situation. And that's when we get onto the Brittany thing. I feel bad. Like, I know it's not her fault that she's in the situation where she can literally say to her hubby, I really like that watch. Can you put me on the list, darling? Or at this point, at the AD, they probably know her too, because she's in there with him all the time, right? And she's very vocal and funny and entertaining. We all know that, right? So they probably know her. So at this point, she's gotten that head start. And by God, is it a head start? She can probably walk in or call them and say, hey, it's Brit. But she got that head start because he had laid the foundations. We all know that. So coming from a person in that situation, I would never recommend it. Well, what does that mean? That's like saying I would never recommend to fly coach. I would always fly first class if I can. I wouldn't recommend to you guys ever fly coach. Well, fuck it. We have to, girl. if your relative worked in American Airlines or United, and you always got buddy passes and you can fly up front all the time, and that's just your reality. And the idea of flying coach is just horrific to you because you're just used to having a huge seat and laying back and going to sleep after you fill up on champagne and caviar. Well, good for you, but you can't say to, oh, it's not fair. It's not nice. How about that? Okay, let's reduce it to, it's just not nice telling other people who are in a less fortunate situation that they shouldn't do something that's hard. There, I spelled it out as fucking simply as I can. A lot of us, and I'm including me, I've gotten lots from my AD, as I said in the video, but a lot of us just have to pay the grey market price. Now, it's not as bad and cold and rainy as it's made out to sound, right? As it's made sound like, what am I trying to say? I can't even form that sentence. You know what I mean? It's not that bad because I'm blue in the face, right? Saying this. When I got my Daytona, it was 24. That's double what it sells for retail here. It went to 30 in a week. It went to 40 during that crazy spike. And it's back down now to about 27, 28. Who's the sucker in the room? A guy wrote to me today saying that in 2015 he bought a Batman. And that's 2015. That's before this crazy, crazy frenzy. But even back then, it wasn't exactly easy to just walk in and get whatever watch you wanted. So he really wanted the Batman. He paid $900 over retail. I don't know what it was, probably 8,000 back then or something. Paid $900 on the grey market extra to get a Batman now, rather than sit around and wait for a call that may never come ever. And trust me, you know how many messages I got from people going, you're so right. I've been on the list for 4 years. I've been on the list for 5 years. You know, I have a connection here who said that quite often they just say they're putting you on the list to make you leave the store, to get you out so they can let someone else in. Someone standing at the door, security doors and all that. Just to get you to fuck off. They say, oh, okay, what's your name? And what are you looking at? You're looking for, a ceramic Daytona, Panda. Okay. All right, well, we'll give you a call once it comes in. Fuck off. You know, there's 600 guys in the local area who want that watch. We know them for years, and we get precisely 2 of them in here a year if we're lucky. Please go the fuck away. So this guy paid $900. He wrote to me. He goes, or he wrote in the comments. He's like, I got this GMT. I got the Batman in 2015, 2016, I think, for $900 over retail, and I was laughed at. People thought I was crazy. Who's laughing now? I mean, come on. Even now, after the prices have come down a bit. So I discovered Adrian Barker's the same. He's like, I refuse to pay over list. It's just a watch. I'll sit around and wait. I'd rather wait than pay a dime over a list. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's such an odd thing to me. It's such an odd thing. There's a phrase here in Italian, fai 30, fai 31, which is if you're doing 30, if you're spending, let's say, or doing, if you're spending 30, why not spend 31? You're already at 30, just fucking spend 31. You know, it's a very good phrase because it's like sometimes just go that little extra mile and pay the extra money and get it done or whatever. Now, I know that's not exactly the case. In the case of a Daytona, using that same phrase, it would be, if you're spending 30, why not spend 60 or 90? So yeah, it gets stretched a little, but still. Now, if it was at the beginning of the spike, at the beginning of this year, and you spent 180,000 on the John Mayer, well, right now you're crying into a beer somewhere, of course, because that was the worst possible time in comparison to what happened, of course. So with those exceptions aside, let me tell you about the John Mayer. When the John Mayer happened, and by the way, just in case anybody thinks that people like Brittany don't have a voice, she has a voice, goddammit. Because look at what Houdinki, whatever, did with John Mayer. Now, I know that's a whole other level. There's a lot more views and so on. But still, it's still social media. It's still a bloody YouTube video. And that watch, the minute he said that it was the cup of a carpenter, remember he made that Indiana Jones reference. That watch went nuts. Truth is, it didn't go nuts because we didn't know what nuts really was yet. So this is what happened. I want to remind everyone that thing was 32 from Rolex, if you were lucky enough. And it went when he made that video and he said, I think this is the next, collectible, rare, hard to get thing. And drew the attention of the world onto it. Nearly 700 people in the room, guys. That's crazy. I hope you're all upvoting. Hit the thumbs up. I hate to ask for that, but apparently it makes a difference. I don't know. Give it a shot. Let's see. So he said that, and then the watch went to, I think it went up to 48 or 50 very quickly. And I remember at the time thinking, wow, anybody lucky enough to get one of those can make a tidy profit. Now think about what I just said. I was talking about a $32,000 watch going for 50. That left me gobsmacked. Now, 2 years later, 2.5 or whatever it's been, I got an AP Royal Oak for 50 and it went to 100. And somehow, because it just became kind of normal for these things to happen, I wasn't that, it didn't matter to me. I didn't want to sell it anyway, so it didn't matter. But it was shocking, but not as shocking as back then with the John Mayer. Now, I went in to pick up the two-tone Sea Dweller, which I made a video on. And while I was there trying it on and seeing if it was my thing, they said, let's show you something. We got to show you something really special. And they brought out a John Mayer. And I tried it on. I have video of it. And I was like, that's beautiful, but you know what I'm going to ask you next. Are you going to sell it to me? And they went, no, there's a guy waiting. He's just got to pick it up. But if he changes his mind or backs out, we'll call you. So I was quite close, as close as I could ever hope to be, of getting that watch. And of course, it never happened. The guy obviously picked it up. But I said to the guys, hasn't this thing gone up to like nearly 50? And they went, no. I mean, that was for a couple of weeks, but it's softened back down now. They didn't even know who John Mayer was. They couldn't even pronounce his name correctly. I pulled up the video and I said, it's because of this video. And they're like, oh, okay, that all makes sense. But they said that it had softened to 38, 39. Think about these prices I'm telling you guys now. The John Mayer right now, let me pull it up right now on Chrono. I know it's hard to know with Chrono if these watches are actually being sold, but it gives you a ballpark, whatever. It gives you an idea, whatever. It's fun just to look. Let's see where it is right now. So what is the reference on that? Let's put it in John Mayer. Let's see if it comes up. Oh yeah, it's already in there, John Mayer. Look. His name is part of the lexicon of watches. Isn't that nuts? 87, 92, 79, 95, 94, 87. One guy wants 150. He's just trying to push the market up. 99, 80. So the lowest one I just saw was 79. So can you imagine I went back in time? Imagine somebody walked up to me now and gave me a little time machine. And I went back in time to the lads on that day and said, guys, 79. Let's drop it down a bit. Let's say they're fishing too high. Let's say 65 to 70. Even 65 to 70. Just throwing that out there. What would the past me and all the boys in the room, what would we have said? Oh my God. And I would have added an extra thing. I would have said, yeah, guys, and let me add this to you. That's disappointing. That's the middle of a depression and a recession and a crash. They would have looked at me and said, you fucking kidding me? It's fucking 20,000 more than we even thought it was recently. Yeah, but you don't know. You don't know what's coming. Imagine going back to the old me back in November, picking up the AP in London and flashing forward and saying, this thing will be at 70 this time next year. I'd be like, well, fucking great. I'm definitely buying it now. Oh, no, but you don't understand. It was at 112. I'd be like, okay, sour grapes, big deal. It was at 112. Yeah, but that's a 30% drop. Oh, no. Like, I'm just shocked how short-sighted everybody's being. It's not a 30% drop in the market. It's a 30% drop off a weird spike that happened for about 6 weeks at the beginning of the year. That's all it is. I feel what's the bit in Zoolander? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like everyone's going nuts. Now I understand Tim Wright, whom I love, and all the boys there, they need to talk about this stuff because they need a scandal, you know? Sometimes I give them a scandal just to talk about, right? Tell them the Timeless Watch channel is a pervert. Whatever, you just make up something, you know? Oisin was found drunk, face down in the canal. They had to fish him out. Just give them anything just to, you know, because people love to gossip. They're like wash women or something. So I understand that, but I don't understand respected channels and bigger channels making this out. Until it happens, it's conjecture. Until it's right in front of us, it's superstition and conjecture and guessing. Now, some people say that I was guessing by telling people buy Rolex. Now, I'm also trying to predict the future because I'm saying, I'm insinuating, implying that it's come to a bottom. Oisin's actually a girl. There you are, Gary. I'm actually a girl. I can see what they mean, but I'm just going on what I can see right out. I'm opening my blinds and looking out the window. I don't see rain. Some people might go, oh, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. Until I see rain, I know it's not raining. Maybe that's a bad analogy because we have weather forecasts and we know it's going to rain. Okay, that's a bad analogy. But let me put it to you this way, and I've said this before, and I don't want to tire the subject out too much. But no one knew the crash was happening in the first place. No one knew the spike was happening before that. No one predicted that either. No one predicted a global health crisis stimulating the watch market. If you went up to anyone in 2019 and said, we're all going to be locked into our homes, the entire planet is going to be brought to a standstill, factories, concerts, everything, stop. People shut in their homes. Businesses will close. They will not survive it. They'll go bankrupt. Where do you think the watch market is going to go? What the fuck do you think they would have said? They would have said, well, the watch market is definitely fucked. Of course, because that's the best guess you can make. Did it happen? No, the contrary happened. I'm sick of people looking at predicting the future. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You might be right because a broken clock tells the right time twice a day, right? So somebody's guess is going to be right just because of the law of averages. If some guy walks up to me and can show me that he predicted all of those three things I just mentioned, then I'll listen to him. And he goes, okay, well, this recession, by this time next year, Rolex will be selling under retail, which is a thing I keep getting in all my comments. I'll listen to him. But until then, I can't listen. I know you have all sorts of criteria and you're reading all sorts of stuff. Nobody knows what's around the corner, but I do go on hard facts. I'm a very realistic man, and I just go on hard shit that I can see right in front of my face. Okay? And one thing I know is that prices have stopped dropping. They have. And it's been 2 months now, pretty much. On those crazy hyped price watches like the 5711 and the John Mayer, they're a little bit different. But I'm talking about the GMTs and the subs and the Daytonas and you might call those more regular watches, right? The APs and so on. They've stopped dropping. So I can see that right in front. There's no premonition required. Okay. I can see it right there. And another thing I know for a fact, that spreading fear and the word of fear throughout the people will help make the problem happen. It just will. So by telling people it's happening, it doesn't really matter whether it's happening. It's going to happen because you told them. Like yelling fire in a crowded theater. Doesn't matter if there was a fire or not. People still got trampled. Same effect. So, I've been talking about this for a while. Anyway, me and Brittany, I think, are on good terms. I've nothing against the girl. I think she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And she's wonderful, and she has a great channel, and it's not as funny as it used to be, if I can throw that out there. She used to be getting drunk and like she'd be swearing, and I thought that was great, like raw stuff. But now that she's a bit bigger, like they're a lot bigger, her channel, she's taking it a lot more seriously, and that's great. That's great. It's just the channel sobered up a lot, not just literally, but also figuratively. There aren't as many gags and funny moments, but that's okay. That's she's got her eyes on the prize. She's focused, and her channel's getting massive, and that's great. If I ran into her on the street tomorrow, there wouldn't be any animosity at all. There's no feud or anything. And my argument with her is about the argument. It's about the debate. I'm a debater. I like to debate. I'm not holding anything personal against the person. I don't hold a grudge against the person I'm debating with. You get into a heated debate, and then you have a glass of wine afterwards and laugh about it. But while you're in the debate, you have to vehemently defend your side, and that's what I was doing, and I think she did it too. Very well. She very well illustrated her points. So I don't think there shouldn't be any issue. I was making a few digs about the religious side of it, because I put in "There Will Be Blood." It's Daniel Plainview. Bastard in a basket. I drink your milkshake. And they are a few digs, because I think that the superstitious, she told me herself that even her hubby is like, why are you so doom and gloom about this whole thing? Which was very telling to me. I thought maybe it was him behind her going on about this stuff. But no, it's her. It's all her. So I thought to myself, well, she is in the business of telling people about the wrath of God, and, the eyes of God are watching, and all of that stuff. He's a real wintry hardliner. You're Christ. All justice and no mercy. What's that from, guys? There's a hard quote for you guys. I actually quoted something from that movie yesterday as well. And he will come with wound as red to damn the quick and the dead. When you're in the business of hearing shit like this all the time, but the rapture and about the fucking, wrath of God, it's probably not a big leap to say, oh, Jesus, what are we on the brink of, because you're already kind of in that arena in the first place, right? So it was a little bit like that. I felt a bit like Daniel Plainview saying, did you think your song and dance and superstition would save you? I can do a better Daniel Plainview than that, but just not right now. Licari says, is that from the new Barbie movie? Legend. Let me move on to the producer Michael thing. I put 2 reaction videos in 1 week. Of course, one was from 2 years ago. It was a repost. How did you guys feel? Did you feel like I deserved to be stricken that time with a copyright strike? It was a very low move on his part. Very slightly cowardly. Mike Lewis, you're rambling a lot. Yeah, I ramble all the time. Mike, go elsewhere if you don't want rambling. I'm a rambling Irishman with a glass of wine in my hand. I don't know how you missed that meeting, man. You're here for the ramble. I'm gonna ramble a shitload and quote movies and go on big tangents about wine. Yeah, the producer Michael thing, I won't spend all night on it, but just, I did that reaction video, asked for permission up front. Adam saw it. Adam was the one who actually, truthfully, it was Adam who gave me the permission, but like on Michael's behalf. Look how beautiful the Aquaterra is. Woof. She's pretty sparkly beast. He loved it. He wrote back immediately and said, oh my God, it was funny. That was great. And he probably texted Michael and went, oh, you should see this dude, Irish dude, did a video on your collection. Michael didn't like it. But instead of like reaching out to me, we had already exchanged several emails by then. Instead of reaching out and saying, hey, shit, like the big man doesn't like it. What the fuck? Can you take it down? Or can you take out that bit where you talk about the protector or whatever? I just got a strike. And strikes are heavy stuff, guys. You need to know the YouTube stuff, but like it's different than a demonetization, like a copyright demonetization. That's different. I get those every day. I get those all the time. I got one last night for Britney's video, not because of There Will Be Blood, Midnight Run, The Insider. What other films did I have in there? Reservoir Dogs. What else did I put in there? No Country for Old Men. You're married into it. None of those clips demonetized. You know what demonetized me? The Eyes of God we're watching. I use when I was watching her video, like she has a little funny bit where these little flutes play, like silly moment. That picked up in the algorithm. That's some soundbite she used that she probably paid for. And whoever owns that locked me down. So not a dime to be earned. Fine. Typical. Yes, a copyright strike is different. It's much more serious. You only get 3. I think it's gone to 4 now, but at the time it was only 3. 3 strikes and you're out, and they just delete your channel. And there's no one you can call. There's nothing you can do. Your channel is gone. So it was pretty serious and a little daunting. And I was very confused, and I was trying to find out who did it. I didn't know if it was them. And they wouldn't answer my emails all of a sudden. And then I eventually wrote from a different email address, and Adam finally got back to me. Because there was this older loser fucking pretending it was all him. Some guy emailing me. I was like, do you guys know this guy? Is this for real? So Adam finally responded going, no, we don't know who the hell that is. But it was us. He confirmed it. Michael did not appreciate certain things you said. I'm like, okay, but you could have fucking just told me to take it. You didn't have to strike me. I felt like a kid saying, can I have a cookie? And you go, sure. And you open the cookie jar. And then as my hand goes in, you slam down the thing. It's like, it's not cool. Anyway, I'm not playing the victim or anything. I just thought it was fucking weird. And I was glad to put up the video because I thought it was an okay video. And I rarely do reaction videos, almost never. It was my first and last for a long time. I think the second reaction video I did was the one I put out last night. And I actually know because Paul Thorpe became friend. Paul Thorpe was livid. He went on, he was pissed off one time. He wasn't getting enough views and he was throwing his hands in the air. And he went on one time and did a video like fucking chewing everybody out. And he chewed Michael out too. He didn't even know him back then, but he just did it on his channel. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like throwing a strike at O'Sheen. But he became friends with Michael since then. And I know for a fact that he's actually addressed it. But I never got any email or any call or anything to say, hey, listen, sorry about that. It's a bit of a misunderstanding, that's all. I would have said, yeah, okay, man. No worries. More important things in life. But I was quite, I think a lot of you thought, as I thought, that I was pretty fair. I was pretty fair, I thought. I think I was pretty nice. It was clear that I didn't like what he had done to a lot of these watches. But I don't think I got ad hominem at any point. I don't think. I think I kept it fairly respectful. Just a taste thing, you know. This one is softening up a little now. It's had some air. So, yeah. And then a lot of comments on Michael, you know, his flowery tastes and stuff. That's not why I put it up there. I just put it up there because I was like, oh yeah, I put it up there because he just did a reaction to Ratzo's one, which was really raw. That was insulting. That was ad hominem. I think he even used the C word a couple of times. So I was like, but whatever. I think it was Tim Wright made a very good point saying, yeah, but, you know, that guy has a big media machine behind him. You're just a dude by himself in Italy making videos. So it was easy to scratch you off, to brush you off the desk. So I guess that was that. It's a shame because I always liked Michael's videos, but it did definitely put a bad taste in my mouth. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the Seiko Hulk. This puppy. For some reason, from every angle, it looks black. This is a green watch, guys. Let me get a bright light on it. See how green it is? It's very green. And I'm calling it the Seiko Hulk. I had no idea that this watch existed. And I walked into my Seiko guy there a couple of weeks ago. I was like, look at that thing. It's also quite slim. I'm going to do a review on it soon. I like a slim watch. I like a shallow dial. Can you see how shallow that dial is? Like the hands and the hour markers are practically, you could practically touch them. I love that. That's something I love. I hate when there's a lot of Seiko mods out there that I quite like the look of, the aesthetic, including those handful that that chap had sent me that time. That guy who turned evil on me. But they're always deep set dials, and it's just a turn off. It's my pet peeve. I love when a dial is shallow and close up to the crystal. it just feels nicer, there's more finesse to the watch. What do you think of that? Honestly, and it's such a chunk of steel as well. This thing shines like 904L steel. I'm assuming it's 316L, but whatever way it's polished, it shines like 904L. Isn't that a beaut? Maybe you're not into Seiko, but I enjoy Seiko. This thing is $500 or $600, guys, and it's a lot of watch for that. I think it's got that MR35 movement. I don't know. Great loom. Cool bezel. No clicking on the bezel. It's bidirectional. So it's kind of like a land adventurist's watch. You know, it's got north, south, east, west on the bezel instead of 24 or 15 or 12. And you can turn it either way and it's smooth. Like there's no clicking. It just smoothly turns and I don't know, it's just beautifully put together. They've also fixed up a lot of their, Seiko have famously their sub $1,000 watches famously have little errors or things that don't align up or whatever. Everything aligns beautifully on this. And I've got nimble loop and everything. They've tidied up their act completely. Now it's beautiful. It's pristine. Everything. All the details are gorgeous. So I'll give you guys a ton of close-ups on this. I'll do a fat video. I'll pick some music. Probably some rock music because I like to use rock on the Seikos. But so you'll see it up close. But I'm just really impressed and how slim it is. That was like a slim watch. If I can get my hands on one, if they can put all that gorgeousness into a slim watch, I always just think that's more impressive. Something that will slide under the cuff nicely. Is that everything? Any questions? I should go through the super chats real quick. I'll put back on the Aquaterra. I don't think I'm going to take this thing off all week after seeing Clooney with it. That's stupid, childish. No, I just noticed how sparkly and impressive this watch is. I get very wrapped up in the AP Rolex thing, and this is a much more modestly priced watch, and it's good enough for an international superstar to walk on stage, on TV, wearing a beautiful suit. It did not let him down in any way, shape, or form. It absolutely stood up to the plate as a beautiful head turner of a watch. The Aquaterra. Ryan Vlogs Life. Do you have a channel, Ryan? You're a vlogger. 199. Hey, can you tell us about your speakers behind you? These are RCF speakers, handmade Italian speakers. Active. You can see the light. They're both plugged in. There's another one right there. I think that's like a 4-inch driver, is it? 4.5 inch. Not massive. Very flat, very precise. 600 people still in the room. What do you guys have to say for yourselves? Let me look for some super chats here, see what I missed. Yeah, they're nice speakers. I mean, I'm not going to say they're the greatest speakers in the world, but they're really nice. Looking for the super chats here, guys. Sorry. Maybe there aren't any. Maybe that's why I can't find any. There were. There's Carolyn. I missed Carolyn ages ago. So to get retail, you normally have to buy a few dogs. So why not just buy slightly above retail and get what you want? Then everyone's happy. That's a very good point. Like if you're going to drop a shitload of money to get to that point where they'll offer you the watches. By the way, someone was saying earlier to me, because Brittany is going to experiment and go into some new AD and not use her husband's connection and start fresh to see how it really is. But my friend was telling me earlier, they Google you immediately. You have to get talking to them. They have to kind of vet you. The second you walk out of the store, they're going to Google you. So they're going to know who she is. And now that she's don't pay over retail, they'll probably love her. They'll probably give her a watch immediately just to corroborate that claim and piss me off. Fine. It won't piss me off. It'll just prove me wrong in that case. MD Chaz, $199. Besides watches, what do you pay over retail for? What do I pay over retail for? I mean, anything that's hard to get, like concert tickets, yes. If I just can't get them through any connections I have in the music biz, I'll just pay whatever the going price is. What else do I pay over retail for? I mean, I don't buy handbags, but if I had a wife to buy handbags for, and she said to me she wanted a Kelly, and it was her birthday in a week, or a Birkin, or something like that. Well, I can sit around and miss her birthday and wait and spend. I think Hermes wants you to spend something in the region of $100,000 before they'll even consider giving you a Birkin. Or I can just go to the grey market and get my wife a Birkin on her birthday. Or I can stand outside the Hermes store and fold my arms and go, I'm not paying a dime over retail. And everyone gives a shit. Not. Flipping Zippo, $13.99 for a drink. Thanks, man. Thank you so much, man. I'll send you a photo of whatever drink I get with that money. Make sure I haven't missed anything else. Ay. Listen, I mean, the whole retail thing is just, I don't know. It's such an odd thing to get stuck on, especially with high ticket items like that, high price items. You're already in the market for a watch that's you absolutely don't need, and it's ridiculous money, especially considering you can get a $300 Apple Watch that will do 10,000 things at the same time. So you're already in that sea of ridiculous spenders, but now you're getting, you're splitting hairs about how ridiculous your spending is. I don't know. Nathaniel, you're back. You can use a watch as a compass with the sun. Yes, you can. If you point the hour hand at the sun and split the distance between it and 12, you will find south. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you do it the other way around. And of course, you have to take into account the, daylight savings as well. But yes. And you don't need the north, south, east, west thing on it, but I guess this watch is made for that, so that when you find south, you can, adjust south on the dial, and then or on the bezel rather, and just make it easy for yourself, so you can navigate your way out of the wilderness or wherever you may find yourself. It's called the Boy Scouts trick. Troy McMahon, $5. I'm actually thinking of getting an Alpinist. There you go. It's a perfect watch for that. It'll be my first Seiko. The video you made on it was brilliant. Thanks so much, man. I never forgot that. Beautiful watch. Lydia's mom has that watch. She fell in love with it. She's not a watch person, but she fell in love with that watch. And when I was with her all those years ago, I didn't have the money to give her anything. I was a broke bass player. I certainly couldn't give her any nice jewelry or anything. So I gave her that, and those things have gone up to $1,000 now. The original, the really nice one without the Cyclops and The one you see in the video. So she loves it. It's a great watch. Beautiful green. And there is the compass Rehot, the chapter ring Rehot thing on the inside is a compass. And it's used for exactly that purpose. Yeah. Line it up with the sun. What else? Darren Roberts. Cheers for the live stream tonight. Thank you, Darren. He sent me 18 British pounds. There was a time when I looked at British pounds like they were, shiny, extra shiny, like 18 meant 22, 23 in euros. But from what I hear, my friend, 18 British pounds is 18 euros or somewhere near it. Isn't that crazy? Who would have ever thunk it? I remember my friend Steve Lyon, the producer, came to New York years ago when the excuse me, I keep clearing my throat here. When the dollar was, when it was 2 to 1, it was 1 sterling for $2. Man, he just bought everything. It was great times for the Brits going over to New York, going shopping. Roy Brace, 10 British pounds. Also, I'd love to know where Shinamati horology inspiration comes from. In addition, do you mean? What was the first watch timepiece? Ensorcels him? What is that word? Am I ignorant? Am I stupid? Got him interested in how did it start? Well, I'll leave you on that then. I'll give you that story. Why not? And then we'll wrap it up. I was always interested in, I always thought a nice watch was impressive whenever I saw a nice watch. But for the longest time, I never had any money, certainly not to spend on a watch. I was homeless in the streets of New York for a while. Back in 2014, 2015, I went through some really hard times. And before that, I was in a rock band. We weren't earning big money. We signed a big record deal, but really, I got my advance. I just sent it to Lydia's mom because I hadn't sent her much before that. And I think I got 8 or 10,000 bucks. Well, I mean, the deal was like $250,000 and we needed most of it for the record. So we all got a chunk of money and I just sent her all of it. I'm like, there, I guess that's yours. I wasn't buying watches. If I had a $50 watch on my wrist, I was lucky. But I always liked a watch. I always liked the feel of a watch, and I always felt like more of a man when I had a watch on my wrist. Does that make any sense? It felt manly. It felt like putting on a nice suit. or I don't know, a woman next to you as you walk into a restaurant, or something manly. It made me feel like a grown up, like a man. And years later, I mean, I don't know how many girlfriends, tried to get me a watch, and I mean, they get me something, and I'd be like, not that interested. I don't know how many times I've been in, Macy's on 34th Street and Broadway with various girlfriends over the years going, we have to get you a watch. You need a watch, And I'd hate everything, because they were all fashion watches. I didn't know at the time why I didn't like them. If I walked in there now, I think it would make me sick. What's that quote? If I saw that house again, I think it would make me sick. That's Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood. Speak of the devil. Take them to the Peachtree Dance. But then I would leave Macy's and we'd be walking down Fifth Avenue and I'd see a watch I liked. And she'd be, whoever it was, would be like, that's $50,000. You're not getting that, you know. We'll get one of those funnel cakes you like. There's a quote. This is $2,400. Daddy's crazy. We'll get you one of those funnel cakes you like. I put that into that video last night as well. The Family Man, Nicolas Cage. So I just left it alone, and then years went by, and I started making more money. I became a music producer. I got paid for some very big projects, and I was running my computer biz out of New York, and there was just a lot of money being generated. And I started dating that girl, the doctor, and I was getting serious. It was looking serious. I never thought I'd meet anyone over 40. Honestly, I just put it away. I have 2 beautiful children. A son in California is an absolute genius. And of course, I have Lydia, you've all seen on the channel. And I've been a lucky boy. I haven't, shared the company of some spectacular women. So I have nothing to complain about. So I was like, well, that's that. Like, I'm never meeting anyone again. I missed that train, but, I can't complain. And then I met that girl, and everything seemed so great. And I thought, shit, this is a total curveball for me. And she has exquisite taste, that woman. Amazing taste. I mean, very, very high taste. Highbrow. And her favorite watch in the world is the Royal Oak. I didn't even know what she was talking about. She was into watches. I didn't even fucking understand. And I had some piece of shit. I don't know what the hell I had on. And she said, like in Italian, non si può guardare con l'orologio. You can't even look at that watch. I was like, it's my watch. Leave me alone. So I was back in New York. I was in the office working away, and I was setting up coming back to Italy. And I thought, I might propose to this girl when I go back. So I didn't want to be that classic idiot who goes into Tiffany on Fifth Avenue and just has ignorance written across his face and they can just rip me off. I said, I'm going to do my due diligence here and investigate and learn all about diamonds and what's the difference between an S1 and an S2 or whatever they are. What's an inclusion? What's the difference between one cut and another? Why is one diamond so much more expensive than the other? I needed to know all that stuff. So I had a little, knowledge going into that because I'm about to drop, $10,000-$20,000 on an engagement ring. So I started investigating after hours, after I finish up work, open a bottle of wine, sit there and watch YouTube videos for ages. So I start coming across all the channels that are into jewelry and fashion. And of course, there's a lot of channels out there giving advice to guys. So you want to buy an engagement ring, what to do, which one to get, how much should you spend, blah, blah, blah. There's tons of advice out there. So I'm watching it all, absorbing all the info I can. And in there, amongst all those videos, there's watches. And I start seeing on the stuff like champagne and suits and, all sorts of cool stuff, gentlemanly stuff. And I'm getting off on all of it. I just love it. The Gentleman's Gazette, right? That's a great channel. And I'm just loving all this shit. And then I get to, I see watches in there. I'm like, oh yeah. Forgot about that. Love a nice watch. The time I didn't have one. So I start going down the rabbit hole and watching videos and stuff. And I'm obsessed with Omega. I don't know why. Just really get into that. And this time, I have money. Whole new ball game. Now I'm looking at videos going, oh, maybe I won't buy $100 watch. Maybe I'll buy a $500. Hold on, maybe I'll buy $1,000. What's it like to wear $1,000 watch? I remember thinking that. Guys, we're talking about 2018. Not long ago. I'm like, oh God. And I think I bought a Certina. And I was like, It was like $600. It was nice. It was okay. It was great to have a watch on my wrist. Finally, I'm like, ooh. But then I'm like, hold on. So I go on eBay and I find, because I'm really into the Seamaster. I'm not obsessed with James Bond. Some people are obsessed with that thing. I just kind of, it was my entryway. When I was younger and more handsome, people used to say I had a certain resemblance of Pierce Brosnan. I don't know. He's Irish too, so I liked the idea of, a nice watch. So then I went on eBay and I got the Omega Seamaster 300M. There was one for sale at $1,500. Guys, I never spent $1,500 on a watch ever. It felt insane. I was ashamed. My other good friend who shares the office with me there downtown, I wouldn't even tell him how much I spent. I was like ashamed of how much I spent. No box, no papers, no nothing. Came in a little brown paper box, wrapping, bubble wrap. I put it on and I was like, Jesus, man, you're fucking crazy. Like, imagine some of you guys like nice wine, but imagine I brought you out to dinner and I ordered a $5,000 bottle of wine and I poured a glass for you and you looked in that glass and you went, there's $500 in this glass. And you took a sip and you went, there's $90 in my mouth right now. Like, you'd be just freaked out by the whole thing. Until you get used to doing those kind of things, they're just strange. So $1,500 was a lot, and it looked really fucking good. I still have that watch, and I love it. It's still one of my best watches. Blue one. The one I brought to Trieste, if you know the channel well. And then, of course, I start eyeing other stuff, don't I? So now I want a Speedy. And it just keeps going and going. And I collected a bunch of Omegas. I had 4 or 5 modestly priced Omegas. I'd look at Submariners at the time. A Submariner on eBay or on wherever was $7 or $8 grand, and I thought that was just fucking nuts. I thought anybody spending that is out of their bloody mind. You can get 4 gorgeous Omegas for the same price, or in 3 at least. I was very anti-Rolex back then. Not for any good reason. Just, I don't know. Just seemed so obvious and prosaic. There you go. Prosaic. So I came over to Italy with I didn't get the ring yet, but I had a lot of info about it. And I knew she was into watches. I started talking to her on the phone like about watches. So I was like, I'll probably gift her some watches as well. So I came over to Italy with the full intention of getting a place with her and then getting her she's so vintage though. I was thinking like I have to get some old vintage engagement ring. That'll mean more to her than something brand new. Even the most expensive thing, if it's brand new, she won't be impressed. She was really, really hard to please when it came to things like that. Fucking terrible. So after a few months, that whole thing fell apart, and I got a place by myself. It was fairly devastating, I have to say. It was another disappointment to add to the list of disappointments, you know. But I had my watches. God, I remember one of the screaming fights. She grabs a bunch of watches in her hand, holds it in the air. So I'm going to smash these on the ground. I'm like, please don't do that. And yeah, I just went up from there. And my first Rolex I bought was the Yachtmaster 40. And I bought it at the AD, Yachtmaster Rhodium, because it was a shop window watch at the time. They had to call Venice. It was in a different town. I wasn't in Venice yet. They had to, but the headquarters is here in Venice. There's 3 ADs here in Venice, Rolex ADs in Venice, 3 in one little town. 2 of them are about 100 feet from one another on the piazza, on the main piazza. Crazy. So much money in this town, coming through this town. So I went into that AD that time, and I saw it in the window. And it looked like a stainless steel Sports to me. Of course it isn't. It has a platinum bezel. But I tried it on, and it was super impressive. And that was the most money I ever spent on a watch. I was kind of shaking. I had to wait till my palms dried out after that. I had sweaty palms. I was nervous about it. I got it for 10. It was listed at 10,995, and they knocked $500 off. But they had to ask for permission first. He had to ask his boss, Paolo, who I later got to know really well, but at the time I didn't. He had to get the nod, and they had to call Venice to see if they could give it to me. So that was my entry, and I went home with it very shaky. They asked me, "Do you want us to put it in a regular?" They put it in a shopping bag. Like, they put the box in the Rolex thing. They put it all inside it. They had little shitty shopping bags. Because there's a guy outside that building with a machine gun. Not even a gun, like a big fucking thing. And the security, like, walking in there, you've got to go through 2 doors to get inside. It wasn't like the other watch stores. They have Rolex and Patek there. So it's just, high security. And they were like, don't walk out of here with a Rolex bag in your hands. Don't do that. So I went out with like a Spar shopping, crappy Spar bag in my hand. But in that was a box. I think I had the watch already on my wrist. And yeah, just went downhill from there. Fuck. But yeah, the Seamaster was the beginning of it. And now that I look back at those days, I miss them. Watches have become such a different thing to me now. I have a fucking channel, and I talk about them every day, and I get questions constantly on my Instagram about what I recommend to buy and so on. It's like I can't even imagine a world without watches all over the place. I step over watches when I get out of bed here. There's watches in the bidet, in Italy, you have a toilet seat and you have another toilet seat. It looks like it's a bidet right next. I don't use it. I just get in the shower. I'm like, why would I waste the time? If it's a messy affair, I'm getting in the goddamn shower. I don't care. So I don't use the thing. So it gets filled up. It's got like some reading glasses and a book in it. And there's like 2 watches sitting in there. Like, they're all over the place now. But I miss those days when I was really... I'd like open my little case and look at my 2 Omegas and pet them nearly, just like, ooh, look at these little precious things, And then a lot of bad shit has happened, even with the channel and, getting into debt and trying to pay people off and various other things. Now it's like watches are like, I don't know. I was about to say the bane of my existence. No, that's too dramatic. That's not the case. But there's a love-hate relationship almost at this point. They're like a virus in my life, I'd give anything to go back to those first days when you're just thrilled to have a $1,500 watch on. It didn't seem simple at the time, but now it seems very simple and very delightful, where you can just enjoy the hobby Whenever I see anybody asking me, hey, I'm getting into watches and I found your channel and it'll be my first watch. I'm thinking about getting a, a pre-ceramic sub, or I always envy them. I'm always like, oh, But I also kind of some of me wants to say, get out, run, get out while you can. Don't make the same mistakes as I did. Let the dream die. Let it die. Nathaniel, 199. You can use a watch. Oh, yeah, as a compass. Yes. Alpinist. I'm going backwards now. I'm going the same stuff here. Man, I miss those days. There's the question, Rory Brace. I hope that answered it. Leon, have another drink of me, my friend. I only fly first class on complimentary upgrades and only sleep with models. Very funny. Andrew, good show, great conversation. Next round on me. Jesus. Andrew, you're the best. 50 Canadian. My God. There's Ray. I knew there must have been a Ray in there somewhere. €3. Thanks, Ray. How you liking that king turtle, my friend? Take care of it for me. Carlos Ramirez. Hey, look, you're live and I'm able to be on. Love the chats. Great to see you, man. I'm going to get out of here in a couple of minutes. Look how much I can ramble. Jesus, man. Can you imagine me in a pub? Imagine. Benzo. Oh, yeah. Daniel Flavio, the reaction to my church. He just sits there looking at him, staring at the superstitious individual. For my church. Yeah, that silence was, It wasn't an accident that I left that silence in. It was a funny moment. Family Man, people got it. They got that quote. This is from a while back. Let me catch up. Mr. TNT, how are you, man? How are you, mate? I didn't do an Aussie accent there at all. Hope you're doing well, my sexy friend. Stay sexy. That guy is so fun. It's just a barrel of fun, that dude. I'll get to the other ones. There's a lot of people leaving interesting stuff here. I can't go through it all, guys. Sorry. I'll answer this because it's a little longer. Anthony Wells. My wife doesn't like spending money. When we were in Melbourne, Australia, we had a couple of $100 lunch and we went to LV after Louis Vuitton. And she walked out because of the price for a wallet. Yeah, well, if you're not a spender, it probably seems obscene. Look, listen, my mom and dad had nothing. They had no money. They struggled. When they see, well, my father's passed now for quite some time, but when she sees people spending money in restaurants on bottles of wine, it's just so hard for her to even comprehend. Mr. GMC. Oh no, he's talking to someone else in there. You guys are all having a chat by yourselves. Good for you. Rory Brace, £1. Thank you. Oh, sorry. And then he has a question. Really loved your explanation conversation about the watch journey. I'd love to know the anticipation and after feeling to first buying the first luxury watch and what it led to, what it meant. Yeah. Well, you see what's happened now. It's like not only is my collection extensive, but so many of you know my collection. Like here was a weird moment when I went on that shopping thing with that Carissa girl for that shoot. We're there. We walk into the watch area there of that big big fancy store. You see it in the video there. And immediately some, security come over and go, you can't film. And I'm like, oh, we're just filming each other, Okay, but you can't film the watches and you can't film the staff. Then this other woman comes in and she goes, oh, Mr. Malley. And she nods at them and goes, go away. Yeah, you can film whatever you want. And we're like, okay. I didn't think I was a big deal at all, but she knew. I've never met this one. Oh no, I have. Like I've seen her in the store and she's shown me watches, but I don't know her. She knew every watch I had, and she knew my daughter's watches. That was scary. Because I mentioned my daughter was coming in to film. She was on her way over to help me film. And she goes, oh, yes. And she has the Cartier. And like she goes through. I was like, oh, shit. Think about that. That's what you get for making your life so bloody public. Kieran Kelly, guitarist. How are you, my friend? Barolo almost finished here. Okay, man. Well, I'll get out of here soon. Won't keep you any longer. Before you go, could you tell us about the guy who poured the Coke in the $3,000 bottle of wine? Yes, that is a video that's gone around YouTube. It's an older video, and it's a Petrus. It's a bottle of Petrus wine, which is a very expensive Pomerol. Very famous, very expensive wine. And he's on a yacht, I believe. It looks like he's on a boat or a yacht. He's clearly too much money. And he pours it in with a bottle of Coke. Just look up Petrus and Coca-Cola on YouTube. I'm sure you'll find the clip. Heartbreaking. Devastating. Carolyn Martin says, upvotes. Yes, that's right. Can you guys just hit the thumb thing where you just below the video, above the chat? Hit the little thumbs up. I don't know what difference it makes, but I'm told it makes a difference. So I'd rather not find out later why I should have asked you. I'll ask you. Carlos Ramirez, $9.99. Last year I had an intern who worked for me for a few months, and he is now into watches. He recently bought a Grand Seiko, and now I think I may have ruined his life. Yeah, I know. Don't blame me, Joshua, 449. Thanks for the live, Oisin. Hope you are well. I am. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you. Hope you're well too. Did you watch the Yanni Mize watch? Oh, Yanni, who has watched theft thing on Paul's. I watched a little bit of that, but the guy was not engaging. This Yanni guy, he wasn't engaging. I made it a couple of minutes in. Some people are engaging when they open their mouth, you're immediately captivated. This was not one of these people, Christopher Hitchens, once he opens his mouth, I'm captivated. There's certain people who are just like, they hold your attention when they speak. And that Yanni guy was not one. So I didn't make it through the video, but apparently he was robbed. What are my thoughts on watch crime? I mean, yeah, I was reaching a peak there. I don't really have time to go into it now because I'm finishing up soon. There's Rory again, sending money in, no question. But thank you, Rory. I can hear the bells of St. Mark's right now. That means it's coming up to midnight here in Venice. Thank you all for your company. Des Ferris, sorry, I have to read this. Hey, Oisin, I remember reaching out to you way in the beginning of your channel journey. At that point, I hadn't purchased my first watch. However, 7 watches later, and Brandon says, I need help. Yeah, man. It's an addiction. Nick Nicola at the iBashers. He may be watching it over on the iBashers channel. Upvotes and comments, push up the video on the list of YouTube suggestions for viewers. So it's a good thing for us to help you stay that way. Okay, so it's good for you guys too if you hit upvote. Watch Apprentice, great stream. Thanks. Hope I didn't ramble too much. This wine is turning out to be great. I hope whatever you were drinking was nice too. Thank you all for your company. Sorry again about no iBashers this week, but we'll come Back twice as hard next week, probably on Friday night, I believe. And it was great having you all for the 560 still here. Wonderful seeing you all. Don't worry, myself and Brittany are not at odds. At least I don't think so. I certainly don't have anything against the girl. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I don't even hold anything against producer Michael either. I put that behind me ages ago. It was just a bit of a weird thing. I just think it's amusing and interesting. That's all. I'm not hanging on to anything or playing the victim or whatever you might say. Rory Brace, sorry again. I have to hit it because it's $5 and I really appreciate that. I would love to quiz you how and what you look for quality, what appeals, how you got addicted, stories that relate to pieces. I'll get on to that then in the coming weeks and months. How about that, man? I'll do another story time video soon. Sound good to you? Thanks, guys. And have a wonderful evening or rest of your day if you're in the States. And be well. You'll see new content this week as well. Very watch-centric content. No more market talk. Okay. All right, guys. Take it easy.